was lucky to have had a competent and courageous INEC chairman. The support by the United States before, during, and after the elections was vital to the nation's stability. President Buhari, who also thanked the Obama administration for the unprecedented military, intelligence, and humanitarian support to Nigeria in the fight against insurgency, said the federal government also valued U.S. contributions towards promoting regional peace and stability through the instrumentality of the G7. The outgoing U.S. envoy, James N. Whistle, told President Buhari that he had a marvelous 3.5 years in Nigeria, during which the bilateral relations between both countries remained vibrant and cordial. Describing his involvement in Nigeria's 2015 elections as memorable, Mr. N. Whistle is, however, concerned over the humanitarian situation in the Northeast and called for intervention. President Buhari also received the outgoing High Commissioner of Canada to Nigeria, Ambassador Perry Calderwood. He expressed Nigeria's gratitude to the Canadian government for assisting the people displaced by insurgency, as well as demonstrating genuine commitment to polio-free Nigeria. The president highlighted federal government's effort at facilitating voluntary return of the displaced persons to their communities, as well as ensuring that conditions in the Northeast improve significantly before the next farming season. Ambassador Calderwood conveyed Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's desire to strengthen ties with Nigeria in his country's quest for partnership on international engagements, including its bid for a non-permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has appointed Ms. Adiza Bala Usman as the Managing Director of Nigerian Ports Authority. Ms. Adiza Bala Usman holds a BSc degree in Business Administration from the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Kaduna State. Before now, she was the Chief of Staff to the Kaduna State Governor, Malam Nasir El-Rufai. Ministers of Petroleum and Energy from Nigeria, Benin Republic, Togo, and Ghana are meeting in Abuja, Nigeria, to work out financial and security model for the West African gas pipeline project. Mia Ogede reports.
678-kilometer West African gas pipeline is a natural gas pipeline to supply gas from Nigeria's Escravos region of Niger Delta to Benin Republic, Togo, and Ghana. But of late, this critical gas network is not operating as expected due to the security challenges in the Niger Delta region of Nigeria and the failure by some member countries to fulfill their financial obligations. Ministers, contractors, and non-state actors are therefore bringing the best of ideas to sustain this channel of gas supply, as the operators of the line are under very extreme austerity conditions.
Make sure that there's a regularity of payment. So we need to help them further to develop their cash flow. And then we need to deepen the infrastructure into the communities, not just dropping a point of supply into tanks, so that you can then create a community of consumers in their major cities.
Anytime there's a vandalization of the pipeline, the complete stoppage of gas, and the effect, can you imagine, as we speak today, we have over 500 megawatts in the eastern part of the country just not working because there's no gas.
Some of the participants, especially from Nigeria, raised the issue of Nigeria exporting gas to its neighbors when the country is also having a similar challenge of gas supply to its power plants.
I feel that sometimes. But the reality is when the surplus stage of gas point gets reached, you've got to have markets. If you don't deepen the infrastructures into the West African countries as your first immediate market, you're going to have a problem. Imagine if we had done this in terms of refining, and so are able to bring in products into Nigeria when you have scarcity, when you have difficulties. Then you wouldn't have the kind of scarcity that we face for weeks.
For these reasons, Nigeria reaffirmed our resolve to play a giant role in the sub-regional project. In Abuja, Mia Ogede, NTA News.
In the meantime, the 7th meeting of power sector chaired by the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has directed distribution companies to be proactive in the implementation of all agreements reached in the provision of electricity supply to consumers. Hamza Musa Makarfi reports.
Briefing journalists, the managing director of Benin Electricity Distribution Company, Punke Oshibodu, says the participants concluded on meeting all engagements across the value chain of the sector with a view to guaranteeing supply to consumers. The meeting also observed with satisfaction power purchase agreement signed on the development of solar power supply. While expressing sympathy, the meeting directs Abuja Distribution Company to carry out investigation on the recent electricity accident which claimed the lives of some people in Lugbe area of Abuja. The minister reacts on facts misrepresentation about the sector in some quarters.
Those who comment on matters relating to any issue generally, really, and specifically to issues of public power, must first do themselves a favor. They must inform themselves appropriately, and they must be also careful not to misrepresent what we say.
We spoke about the Asaba issue because we've been having some issues in Asaba which are largely TCN related, and those issues, they gave the updates and how they intend to solve it.
Like for Kano, we have raised a number of issues on outages and a number of issues regarding our interface issues with the TCN. I'm happy to report that that has been resolved. And for Yola Disco, thank God, last month, Maiduguri has been out. During our meeting in Kano, I tabled the complaint, and the Honorable Minister gave directive to TCN to mobilize back and restore Maiduguri back on power, to power. Thank God, Maiduguri was restored back before Salah.
Meanwhile, Edo State Civil Society peacefully protested, asking the Benin Electricity Distribution Company to provide meters to consumers in the state. In Benin, Hamza Musa Makarpi, NTA News.
And in another development, the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatule Fashola, has stressed the need to strengthen the insurance policy in Nigeria to take care of special risks that relate to the nation's peculiar environment. He was speaking in Abuja at the 2016 National Insurance Conference. Joy Uzo reports.
The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, said there is a need for the policy to include national infrastructure like public buildings, roads, bridges and power installations against hazards like fire, building collapse, among others.
So as our infrastructure undertaking under the Buhari administration expands, there will be increasing role for insurance business to expand, to play a role of improving growth and inclusion on our GDP. The regulator now, they need to create new policies. We talked about evolving practice in other jurisdictions where they are already providing what they call terrorism insurance.
He called on the National Assembly to enact legislations to accommodate new ideas in insurance policies. In Abuja, Joy Uzo, NTA News.
Better days ahead for investors of Nigeria's capital market as the apex regulatory body, the Securities and Exchange Commission, unveils new strategies aimed at repositioning and strengthening investors' confidence. Chazalameki reports that this was when the management of the Securities and Exchange Commission, led by its Director General, Monero Guazo, paid a visit to the management of the NTA at its headquarters, Abuja.
In 2008, the Nigerian capital market crashed owing to the global meltdown that saw most capital markets in the world nosedive. Since then, Nigeria's capital market has been battling to recover from the shock. Worried by this, a high-powered delegation from the Securities and Exchange Commission, led by its Director General Monero Guazo, were at the Nigerian Television Authority to assist inform the public on its plans to reposition and forestall a repeat of the past. Towards this end, the Commission has come up with some initiatives aimed at restoring investors' confidence, which they say cannot be achieved without the collaboration of the NTA.
We realize that it is only in the Nigerian capital market that operators have not been recapitalized, both in the banking industry, the mortgage industry, the insurance, the pensions. They have been able to do that. we must continuously enlighten Nigerians on the need, particularly on the e-dividend. We believe it is very key because you cannot bring back the retail investor unless the retail investor is very comfortable, unless the retail investor believes that once he buys shares and dividend is declared.
The Director General of the NTA assured the visiting delegation of his willingness to partner SEC because of the strategic role it plays. This is more so particularly given that the knowledge of most Nigerians on the capital market investment is limited.
We are willing, and like I said, we did it in the past, and I think it was very fruitful. So for us in NTA, we are willing to partner with SEC, as we also are willing to partner with all other institutions. We have a duty in this country, to propagate ideas, to sell ideas, and to make sure that everybody is carried along.
A copy of a detailed report of a 10-year Nigerian Capital Market Master Plan was presented to the Director General of the NTA. Chiazalam Ekie, NTA News.
Some senior members of the judiciary have been praising the concept of immunity from prosecution as provided in the Nigerian Constitution for some categories of public officials. Speaking on NTA's News and Current Affairs program, Good Morning Nigeria, the senior advocates of Nigeria and a professor of constitutional law debated on the implications and holdbacks of the immunity clause. Gufan Shaji monitored the program and reports on the varying positions, with some contributors suggesting possible extension of the privilege to some other categories of public office holders.
The immunity clause is contained in Section 308 of the 1999 Constitution. It shields the President, Vice President, governors and their deputies from all civil and criminal proceedings for the duration of their time in office. Some senior advocates of Nigeria who were guests on the program argued that the immunity clause should not be removed, as removal would interfere with the executive's capacity and its ability to perform its constitutional function.
You cannot wait until the president leaves the office or the governor leaves the office before you start the investigation. What the immunity clause prevents is prosecution. It does not stop investigation.
Time has come that it will be extended to whoever performs important offices that actually affect us all.
We should reduce the number of people who will benefit. Leave it only to the people who the Constitution invests executive power on. That is to say, at the federal level, the president, and at the state level, the governor.
Jibril Mokutepa SAN, however, strongly held a different view.
For instance, there is what is called security votes that governors enjoy. Is not subject to any person's investigation, scrutiny, accountability, and so on and so forth. You won't see that in the United States of America. You won't see that in the United Kingdom, because in Nigeria, people stand in the name of the rule of law to abuse the rule of law.
The discussants urged law enforcement agencies to be more patriotic and desist from enforcing the law on the basis of sentiments. In Abuja, Gufan Shaji, NTA News.
Thank you, Gufan. And that is the news on NTA International from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Stay with us for more news coming ahead shortly.
Explosion or gunshots of an active shooter. That might be a terror attack. At such times, always remember 3 action words: run, hide, report. Don't try to run towards the terror scene to save the situation, because there might be a second bomb blast or another attack. Run far away and take cover. Make sure you are safe first. Yes, it is in our nature to sympathize over the hurt, but remember, only trained personnel can help in such situations. When in a secured environment, promptly call relevant authorities and help will come. For anonymous reporting, call 09630-3250-5 or 0813-2222-106. If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism.
Thanks for joining us again. Towards enhancing effective service delivery in line with the global best practices, A staff of the Nigerian Immigration Service has presented a book extraying the benefits of e-passports to Nigerian citizens in Abuja. Uche Wizu completes the report.
The new vista is that issuance, reissuance and updates of biometrics have been decentralized. This book brings together all that Nigerians, especially those traveling abroad, should know about the e-passports, the offences and penalties for offenders as captured in the Immigration Act Section 10.
Knowing all these things, the strength, the weaknesses, some of the weaknesses behind the e-passport, mainly from the side of the applicant, and allow them to continue with such, it will not go well.
It will be maybe for us as serving officers when we brief our officers or Nigerians that come to us. Like I'm sure a lot of people were rattled when I was talking about the preponderance of false data that we grapple with. Nigerians don't know it's an offense to give false information.
The 111-page book also extracts the flaws and loopholes created by the former manual readable passports, MRP, and how the e-passports, among other functions, serve as deterrents to human traffickers and the abuse of travel documents. Uche Nwizu, NTA News.
And turning to business news, let's join Olayin Kaujo with standing by.
Welcome to the business segment. Oil futures bounces back from 2 months low on Tuesday, aided by a weaker dollar, but a global stock overhang and drop in bullish bets by investors still weighed on prices. Saudi Energy Minister Khalid said the oil industry needed a price above $50 per barrel to sustain investment, but added that downward pressure would prevail because of an inventory glut. The nation's interbank lending rate has risen by 10%. The overnight rate rose sharply week on week to 15% from 5% a week ago. The development came after the Central Bank of Nigeria debited banks for treasury bills purchases. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has denied approving the increase in domestic airfares, saying all tariffs for airline services, including fares, rates, add-on charges, or terms and conditions of services have been liberalized. NCAA General Manager Public Affairs Sam Adroboye, who said this, added that the agency usually approves the fares according to figures filled by the airline. Before we go, a quick check at closing figures on the floor of the stock market. And that's it on the business segment of the news. I am Olayinka Ojo.
Over 300 physically challenged persons from across the country are benefiting from the Islamic group Jibwi's humanitarian gesture of providing them with artificial limbs in Abuja. Abdullahi Ajir reports that the exercise is in partnership with an Indian firm.
Organizers of the exercise said the gesture is to give the physically challenged amputees a sense of care and belonging, and to also alleviate the burden associated with their condition. The beneficiaries were drawn from a spectrum of the society, irrespective of religious, ethnic, or ideological background.
They are also human beings like us. God created them and created us. We are all from the same God, and we're supposed to be sympathizing with one another, so that as time goes on, most of them will go back to their normal works, or they will find one way or the other to take care of themselves.
We are trying to make it a culture in Jibwis because everything is centered on humanity assistance. We do everything possible to make sure that we alleviate suffering for people. And every little kobo we get, we save a dent out of it in case of this kind of eventualities.
This phase of physical and medical assistance, the chief of Jua, Alhaji Idris Musa, said should be encouraged.
You are in a complete mood and look at your brother at this type of position. You need to touch your mind, look at what you have, and see that you assist those who are in this type of problem.
Describing the gesture as life-changing, the beneficiaries thanked the organizers.
in the primary school I got the accident since, but I don't have anybody that will be able to help me to have this kind of opportunity. I thank to these people.
Na yi farin ciki kuma na gode wa Allah, na gode wanda suka ɗauki ɗawainiyan yi mana wannan abun. Allah saka musu da alkhairi.
The assistance covers both the lower and upper limbs, which will be provided after medical and physical examination by a team of experts from India and Nigeria. In Abuja, Abdullahi Ajia, NTA News.
Sports. Team Nigeria wrestlers returned from Spain with 2 bronze medals as Portuguese players received national honors for Euro 2016 triumph. Details of these and more with Fisayo Ogufui.
Nigeria's wrestling team to the just concluded Spanish Wrestling Grand Prix say the competition was an eye-opener to what to expect at the Rio Olympic Games. Commonwealth gold medalists Odunayo Adekoroye and Aminata Deniyi won bronze medals at the competition, but the male freestyle wrestlers did not get a podium finish. Plans to give former Super Eagles captain and head coach Stephen Keshi a befitting burial are in top gear. Head publicity, media and documentation of the burial committee, Emmanuel Ado, says the committee is putting finishing touches to the event to give sports lovers a chance to say a proper farewell to one of Nigeria's biggest sporting heroes later this month.
The burial we give to Stephen Keshi would to a very large extent help generations unborn to understand that if you serve Nigeria meritoriously, Nigeria will recognize and reward you in life and in death.
Stephen Keshi, who is the second African to win the Africa Cup of Nations as a player and a coach, died in Benin City on the 7th of June. Euro 2016 champions, the Portuguese national team, was cheered by tens of thousands of people as the squad traveled in an open-roofed double-decker bus to the Belém Presidential Palace to meet President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa. The ecstatic Portuguese leaders said the players will be decorated with the Order of Merit Award for what it described as distinguished acts of public service. Head coach Fernando Santos and team captain Cristiano Ronaldo thanked the fans for their support, which pushed the team all the way in France. With sports update, Fisayo Ogunfuyi, NTA News.
Many thanks, Fisayo. Let's now take a look at Wednesday's weather prospect in parts of Nigeria and some world cities. And that's the news on NTA International. Thanks for watching. I am Shegun Lawale.